Ultraman Shin is the new Ultraman film that just released in theaters for only 2 days through Fathom Events. I went to go watch the English dub. And the reason why is not that I have a problem with watching these films in the way they're intended to be seen in their intended native language, but Ultraman is a popcorn movie, right? And so, like, I don't really want to be reading subtitles when I'm watching what's basically a popcorn movie to me. Watching just a giant alien thing punch giant monsters. You know what I mean? Like, that's just me. And so, I that's my rationality thinking here. If it was a more thought provoking movie or whatever, maybe I would want to see it in native language, but just stuff like this is just my personal preference. Same thing with anime. Anime I want to watch, you know, in English, though sometimes I can't make it to English dubs just because of show times. But anyways, that backstory there. I do really like the Ultraman franchise. I have not seen all 37 movies and the various TV shows and animes. I would like to. I'm actually collecting them, but I haven't seen them all. So there's that. But yeah, I really, really love this movie. And it's unfortunate because I was in an empty theater for the showtime, and two of the people who came into the showtime complained that they were with some friends who picked the movie, and oh my god, I have to watch a movie that's dubbed. I want to go home. So I think they actually enjoyed the movie surprisingly, but going into it, they were not happy that they were watching a movie that's dubbed. And this movie felt very crowd pleasing. Like there were several moments that you were supposed to clap and cheer, like it was a fucking Marvel movie or shit. But like because there wasn't a crowd, it just kind of felt awkward a little bit. But for the most part, what I loved about this movie is it had a lot to say. This is from the people did or Shin Godzilla. That's why it's called Ultraman Shin, things like that. And what's really neat about that is that movie was very engrossed in political talk and culture of Japan. And so like this movie also does that. And that's a lot of fun and interesting, It has a lot to say and I may not fully understand all that because I do not understand a lot of Japanese politics because I don't live in Japan, but there's definitely like some stuff there that you can read into and think about or relate to American politics and other things like that. And that's the fun of these films, you know. And that's great because a lot of these things like Ultraman, like Godzilla, come from a time where this art was very much meant to be political. And America, since come and dumbed a lot of that stuff down, especially Godzilla, right? Godzilla is just a giant monster popcorn movie, but it's also more than that for the Japanese people. The first uh, Godzilla movie, it was a very much a political movie, and Ultraman is kind of similar. It came out, at in a post-war Japan, and that's after World War II, and so I really enjoyed those aspects being represented in this movie, and it felt very much like a love letter to the Ultraman franchise. The opening was the same opening to Ultraman Q and things like that. And there's all these references to other monsters that have appeared throughout the Ultraman franchise. There's all these different Ultraman suits and different things that all look gorgeous. The action is some of the best this franchise has ever had. It looks gorgeous. The dub, I will say, is very noticeable that it's a dub, but at the end of the day, they did the best they can do trying to, dub in actors who can speak English, unlike the actors who starred in this movie. But I think it was so. I'm not here to rate performances, basically, is what I'm saying. But I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great and honored the franchise that it's a part of. And I think anybody who is an Ultraman fan will enjoy this movie. And I think non fans will get into it. However, I do have some mild complaints. First of all, they focus a little too much on the humans in this movie, and that was a little irritating. Also, the characters constantly have debates about saving humanity, and I feel like they could have done more to make us understand why our main character wants to save humanity and why that's such a priority for him and what he loves about humanity. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that, but unfortunately they didn't. Wasn't a big deal because again, this is just a popcorn movie with some political edge and satire in it, but for the most part, it is just a popcorn movie with lots of action and great scenes. And there's a little bit of goofiness in this movie, but that's part of the Ultraman franchise. But a couple points got a little too silly for me, but for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie, and I thought it was excellent. And it's easily my favorite movie I've seen this year. Granted, I've only seen like 3 movies, so I thought it was great.